Huh, Max? Aren't you Max Harrow?
In a corner of a large lounge adorned with a luxurious chandelier. Visiting a famous hotel for a rendezvous with a friend, I was stopped by a voice familiar from the recesses of my memory. Catherine, it's been a while.
No way, it's really you, Max. I can't believe it. Why would someone like you be here? You wouldn't have any business at such a fancy hotel.
Her tone seemed as sarcastically high-pitched as ever. Even though I wanted today to be a joyful day, she sure knows how to dampen the mood. I'm meeting up with a friend. What's wrong with that?
Okay. Well, I'm about to meet my fiancé. He said he wants to introduce me to one of his mentors or something. Maybe he just wants to show off how beautiful I am.
Really? That's nice.
So you hear I have a fiancé, and you can't even offer a single congrats. This is why guys like you who bail out just before med school admissions are just no good.
People around started to look our way at Catherine's loud voice. I wanted to retort with, women without a hint of common sense like you are the real problem, but I kept my mouth shut. Yes, it's true I opted out of medical school admissions. Maybe I was always looking for an easy way out. That was back when Max Harrow, was in senior year of high school. That's over a decade ago. Catherine and I used to hang out in the same group, but we only hung out a few times a month. One of my friends started dating one of her friends, so we'd all go to the shopping mall or game arcades, the usual teenage stuff. Catherine and her friends were students at a nearby girls' school, and we were from an all-boys school. That girls' school apparently had a reputation for having many cute girls. I wasn't particularly interested. We just had a simple, wholesome friendship, but everything changed when we started discussing our future plans. The moment she found out I was aiming to become a doctor, she became overly interested in my school choices and began to shower me with praises like, "Aiming to be a doctor. Max, you're such a kind person." She would say with a bright smile, "Becoming a doctor is so admirable. Saving lives is amazing." I got really drawn to Catherine, who said these things. So when she confessed her feelings, I was really happy. I believed she was a genuinely kind and good person. At least until that time. In mid-January, right before the college entrance exams. On a Friday afternoon, after visiting a large bookstore a little far from home, I was involved in a bus accident on my way back. Just as we were about to cross a bridge, a truck from behind collided with us. The bus broke through the old railings, dropping several feet to the ground below. Fortunately, no one lost their lives in the accident. However, I suffered a broken right arm, cracked ribs, and internal bleeding in my skull, rendering me unconscious for 2 days. My memories from the accident are hazy until I woke up in the hospital bed. It was the first time I had seen my usually cheerful mother look so drained and devastated. That evening, when my consciousness returned, my teacher and the school principal came to visit. A nurse, moved by the sight of my crying teacher, let them stay for a short while. The principal kept his usual calm demeanor. They promised to keep the accident a secret. My classmates had their own exams and job interviews coming up. Some even had their exams the following week. I didn't want to upset anyone because of my situation. The teachers and my parents understood and decided to tell everyone that I was away visiting some distant relatives. Since we were about to go on self-study sessions, I wouldn't see my classmates anyway. Everyone would soon forget my absence. Before leaving, they encouraged me, "First, get better. We can think about what's next after that." That was the first time I realized I wouldn't be taking the college entrance exams. A week after that, I was tormented by fever, excruciating pain, or frustration from not being able to move my right hand. I couldn't eat and lost 11 pounds before I knew it. During the day, it was better because my mom and dad were there, but at night, being alone in my private room was rough. I told Catherine, like I did to everyone else, I'm out of town helping some relatives. We did exchange messages a few times, and she was always really worried about my college applications. So I felt bad and ended up texting her. I decided to withdraw my college application. We hadn't been seeing each other much as college application season approached, and Catherine, who never nagged me for long calls or said she wanted to meet. But she called me immediately. Although it was late at night in my private room, I hesitated to answer. When I texted her that I couldn't talk, she started texting me like crazy.
What do you mean you're withdrawing? Didn't you say you were sure to pass the pre-exams? Was that a lie? Were you just showing off wanting to go to medical school? That's low. You're running away because you're ashamed to fail, coward. I was with you because you said you'd become a doctor. Now you're worthless. Eck, what a waste of my time. I don't need a guy like that. We're breaking up.
Her barrage of belittling messages kept coming in. I was so disappointed, wondering if this was her true nature. I guess Catherine was just with me because she thought I would get into medical school and become a doctor. I deleted the message about the accident I was trying to convey with my unfamiliar left hand and just texted, "I get it," before tossing my phone away. Now I'm 32. Catherine, standing in front of me, should be the same age, but she looks quite flashy, trying to look younger. She's wearing a multi-layered skirt like some pop star, with a bright pink jacket. It's not that it doesn't suit her, it just doesn't feel right.
You're still so spaced out. Well, whatever. Let me introduce you to my fiancé. He's amazing, a doctor, and he's 5 years younger than us. Pumpkin, over here.
She waves wildly and shouts towards someone behind me. Pumpkin, really? It's kind of embarrassing to call him that in public. And with her causing such a scene, the hotel staff even had to intervene. Her fiancé rushes over to her side, cringing to the hotel staff. But Catherine pays no attention and snobbishly says, "What? I'm going to be a doctor's wife." Thanks to her fiancé's repeated cringing, the staff eventually left. But Catherine's loud voice echoed again, even though her fiancé is still feeling uneasy.
Before meeting your mentor, let me introduce you to this underachiever, a guy I briefly dated. He ran away right before his med school entrance exam. His name is Max Harrow. This is Keith, a wonderful doctor and my fiancé.
Wait, Catherine, why,
Keith, introduce. Oh. Keith and I exchanged glances. And then we understood.
I see, Catherine, are you referring to that time?
You said you wanted to introduce me to your girlfriend, but now you're engaged.
Well, there's a reason.
We both sighed in unison. Catherine looked between us, puzzled.
What's going on? Do you two know each other? But how can my doctor fiancé, Keith, know someone like Max? Right, Keith? You better explain.
Well, about that, let's just say our engagement is off.
What? Why so suddenly?
The mentor I wanted to introduce to you is him, Max. Thanks to Max, I am now a doctor. He's my mentor, my friend, and the one who saved my life.
What do you mean, mentor? Aren't mentors usually school teachers? And what's this about breaking off our engagement? I won't allow it.
Seeing Catherine's attitude, Keith sighed again. Some hotel staff were watching from a distance.
You and your mom were the ones excited about the engagement, but I thought I'd consider it, which is why I wanted you to meet Max today. I thought Max, whom I trust, would give me an honest opinion.
Opinion on what?
You'd probably talk about marriage all day today. I wanted to know what Max would think of you.
Catherine turned her gaze sharply towards me, perhaps hoping I'd say something in her favor. But my mind was already made up. Well, even if we forget the past, just seeing the attitude earlier, I can confidently say, you shouldn't marry someone like that.
Right, I feel the same. That's why I've called off our engagement. Or rather, please, let's break up.
What the hell, Max? You must be jealous that Keith gets to marry such a wonderful woman like me. How deceitful of you, trying to steal our happiness.
No, women who act all high and mighty saying, "I'll become a doctor's wife," are generally off-putting. Catherine was lost for words. Perhaps she felt assured of marriage since she was introduced by a respected mentor, which made her true nature come out. Keith, who was beside her, also said with his head down, "I thought it was strange that she was rushing our marriage, but I didn't expect her to have such a terrible personality."
Why do you even listen to the opinion of such a dumb guy? It's a matter between you and me.
Keith slowly began to explain to Catherine, who was furious.
Do you remember I told you that I had an accident in middle school? I was paralyzed out of fear, felt pain everywhere, and was shivering uncontrollably.
Oh, the bus accident? What about it?
I mentioned earlier that he's the one who saved my life. Max was the one who held my hand and kept encouraging me during that time. Despite having broken his bones, he did his best to calm me down when I was about to panic.
Wait, does that mean Max was also on that bus?
Keith noted and began to recount that time. The time until they heard the ambulance's sirens felt like an eternity. But my constant reassurance saved him. When I was moved from a private room to a general ward and was placed next to Keith, it made him happy. We started studying together, and even after being discharged, I tutored him and we became good friends. Keith was inspired by me and studied hard to get into the same medical school.
That's why. I won't marry you, and I don't want to continue our relationship without even considering Max's opinion.
Hold on. The same medical school.
Yes, Max graduated from the same medical school and is now a doctor. That's why I can't understand the things you've been saying, calling him incompetent. He couldn't take the entrance exam only because of the accident.
Oh, I didn't mention that part. Oh, right. Back then, I was depressed, but meeting Keith encouraged me to try again. I decided to retake the exam the next year while undergoing physical therapy. Thanks to that, I was able to get into a top-tier university.
Wait, Max, why didn't you tell me?
I'm sorry for not mentioning the accident, but
It doesn't matter. If you both graduated from the same school, does that mean Harvard Medical? Why didn't you contact me then? If I knew, I would have dated you again. Or even now, which hospital are you working at? How much do you earn? You're older than Keith, so you must have a good salary, right?
Keith and I just looked at each other. There's no helping this woman. Keith then canceled the dinner reservation at the fancy restaurant on the 30th floor of the hotel we were planning to go to. The hotel staff kindly agreed without charging any cancellation fees since there were other customers waiting for a table. Catherine was still causing a scene and accidentally threw her purse, which hit a large vase in the lounge. As the security staff restrained her, another staff member suggested we leave. It's a really nice hotel. We'll definitely use it again if there's an occasion.
Hot, tasty. I'm sorry, Max. I promised to treat you to a fancy hotel dinner, but it turned out like this. Here's a beer too.
What are you talking about? This is still a treat. Cheers.
Cheers.
After walking a while from the hotel, Keith and I sat on a park bench munching on convenience store sandwiches. While we thought about grabbing a drink somewhere, the lights of the convenience store attracted us. Sandwiches, beer, soup. We have everything. If this isn't a treat, then what is? I remember when we were hospitalized, we would sneak down to the cafeteria and get scolded.
Exactly. I was in a wheelchair because of my broken leg and you'd push me around.
And you'd open the bag of chips for me. We enjoyed reminiscing about the old days. Perhaps we should thank Catherine just a bit for giving us this moment. But it's such a coincidence, isn't it, that Catherine and you were engaged?
That's because Catherine was the one pushing it forward. I never proposed, and we've been dating for less than a month. If I had known she was your ex who dumped you, I would have never dated her.
Well, that makes sense. Both of us had talked about Catherine after we grew up. If only I had given him her full name, I think now. Then we chatted about our jobs and Keith's soccer team. Time flew by, but we never ran out of things to talk about. Sipping on our post-dinner canned coffee, Keith suddenly murmured,
You know, I still dream about that time. It's dark and cold, feels like I'm falling endlessly. But you always reach out and pull me back. I want to be someone who can support their patients like that. I owe becoming a doctor to you for always being there and helping me study. That's how I always feel.
Keith may say that, but in that moment, it was really him who pulled me back to reality. After failing my college entrance exam, my dominant arm not working as I wanted, and being dumped by my girlfriend, I think that was the first time I truly felt despair. There were nights I wished I'd never woken up. But when they moved me to the bed next to Keith, he, with his leg in a cast, lit up with joy.
It's my big bro from that time. Thank you. Thank you for always being there for me.
Though many tried, no one could come to my bedside, but apparently Keith had been worried about me ever since I passed out when the ambulance arrived. Keith, with his friendly nature, was someone even a shy guy like me could get along with immediately.
I might not be able to play soccer anymore. I dreamt of being a soccer player.
But in the next moment, tears expected, Keith laughed, but that's okay. Becoming a doctor is also my dream. Do you have 2 dreams or what? I teased. Keith continued.
Who said we can only have one dream? After I become a doctor, if my leg gets better, I can still aim to be a soccer player. Becoming a doctor might be tough, but I'll take the test as many times as needed. By the way, Max, are you smart?
Keith grinned, showing me what looked like school handouts. From then on, we talked about how I also wanted to go to med school, and he was super impressed. It made me resolute about retaking the entrance exam following year. My frustrations faded over time, and watching Keith eat with such an appetite brought back my own hunger. Studying together at Keith's insistence became a joy. If I'm here today, it's because of you.
Did you say something, Max?
No, just thinking, maybe we should try out some speed dating or something next.
Well, I mean, it would be unfair if only I got all the attention, right?
He grinned mischievously. That smile hasn't changed since those days. Keith will always be my endearing yet slightly cheeky best friend.